Hey YouTube, welcome back. This is Steven, and I have another video for you guys about Spanish words you learn in class versus the Spanish words you actually use outside of class. Alright, so let's get into this. Alright, first on the list, and this one's a little special, but bear with me. Alright, so pequeño, pequeña versus, the diminutive endings, like ito, ita, cito, cita, iyo, iya, siyo, sia, right? So basically, the word pequeño versus the diminutive endings, okay? And for some reason, of course, meaning small, by the way, pequeño meaning small. All right. So for some reason, I don't seem to encounter pequeño that much when I hear Spanish. Oftentimes, Spanish speakers, a lot of Spanish speakers tend to use maybe the diminutive ending a lot more. Like, oh, perrito, instead of like, oh, perro pequeño, right? And I think also the diminutive ending is used on people's names as well. You know, um, you know, like like Larita. I think that's one. Josito. That might be another one. Rosalita. That might be one too. I know. So I've heard the YouTube user Dashi always calls like the character Rosalina or Rosalita. And something else I'm not gonna say. But yeah, back to this though. So yeah, I just noticed that I just tend to hear the diminutives a lot more than pequeño. Yeah, something that I noticed. All right, on to the next one. All right, and I got a list by the way that I'm reading from. All right, el paraguas versus la sombrilla, meaning umbrella. All right. Usually, when I encountered somebody saying umbrella, it was usually sombrilla, not paraguas. I'm not sure why. I think both are legit, but usually, like, I think I may have learned sombrilla as initially a um, like a beach umbrella versus just a regular umbrella. And yeah. Um, all right, on to the next one. Okay, this one's an interesting one. All right, echar de menos versus extrañar, meaning to miss, as in like, oh, I miss this person. And I feel like I was initially taught echar de menos as to miss, and it does mean that. That's kind of like, I guess, an idiomatic expression using echar, right? But I also noticed that folks don't really use that a lot, at least when I hear it spoken. Usually people use extrañar a lot more. I know I was talking with this coworker of mine who I was interviewing for this project for one of my Spanish classes, and I had used the phrase "echar de menos," and I think she understood it, but I guess it was a bit odd for her because I guess she wasn't used to hearing that someone use that phrase, right? But yeah, that's just something that I picked up on and noticed. All right, next on the list, un informe versus un reporte. Meaning report, right? I've heard both of these used. I learned Informe in like my Spanish class, not actually like vocabulary lists, because it was like in a grammar class, but that was just the word that they were using for report, like in the book that we're using, and also the way that the teacher wrote it in the syllabus. Informe, right? But they use it also in the media Informe as well. Like, oh, we have an Informe, like, like, like el Informe de las noticias, the report from the news, right? Something like that. But oftentimes, I think I hear both, but I think I may tend to hear reporte a little more than informe. But and there may be like a use for those words. This may be one of those words where I'm not sure if they're interchangeable. I think they are. At least I know that informe can be used as a news report and a report like in class that you would do. But I'm not sure about reporte though. I think reporte can only be used as a maybe like associated with like a news report versus maybe like a school type of report. But then again, it could just be like a general word for report. But I looked up the word, and in regards to news report, they can both be used interchangeably, right? And usually I just hear reporte more than informe, but I've heard them both, right? I heard them both. All right. So next on the list we have andar versus caminar, right? Meaning to walk. And for some reason, I feel like I was taught andar means to walk. And it does, but I just hear caminar a lot more than andar. Yeah, a little interesting. I don't, I think I may have been taught like possibly both words, but I feel like andar was the word I was taught initially, right? And I may have just learned, but I hear caminar, in the media, right? A lot more than andar. All right. Next on the list is cómo se deletrea versus cómo se escribe, meaning how do you spell it, etc. Right? And in a class that I've attended through like my local library system, like the teacher taught the word "cómo se deletrea," or that phrase, and also the infinitive deletrear, meaning like how do you spell or to spell, etc. Right? But oftentimes when I hear Spanish speakers asking how to say or how to spell a word, I usually hear "cómo se escribe." I rarely hear "cómo se deletrea." That's just my experience, but I've never heard that word actually used in authentic Spanish-speaking context. Right. Okay. Next on the list, we have el aula, also las aulas in plural, right? It's one of those stressed A words that are singular, masculine when singular, and feminine when plural, right? So el aula versus el salón de clase. Yeah, salón de clase. meaning classroom. I think el aula might be maybe more so popular in like South America. I heard this word was first introduced to me in my advanced grammar class that I took in college, my advanced Spanish grammar class. It was the word that they used in the book, right? Because in the class, there wasn't like vocabulary to learn, right? We were doing learning grammar concepts in this class, right? And that was the word that they used for class in the book, right? I never heard el salón de clase, but in outside of the class, I heard el salón de clase more. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say. I'm not sure anyone outside of the collegiate setting that I was in say el aula. I don't think so. Yeah, interesting. Right, next on the list, el garaje versus la cochera. Cochera, meaning garage. And I was initially taught that el garaje means garage, right? And it does. But I was looking for an apartment in like I guess the Spanish section of Craigslist, and I found this apartment ad, and it said, it had mentioned like las cocheras, and I was like, what's that? Like, I haven't heard that word before, right? So I looked up the word, and it means garage. But I'm like, I'm a little surprised that they just didn't use el garaje, considering that we're in the United States, and oftentimes Spanish in the United States tends to gravitate towards like, Spanish words that are similar to English words, if you know what I mean. But yeah, for some reason they didn't. They used la cochera. Perhaps this is the word they use in Mexican Spanish, because I think in this particular area there's a strong Mexican influence. Or either they just wanted to be fancy, or just maybe no one uses garaje. I'm not sure. But yeah, something interesting to note. All right. All right. So next on the list is el estacionamiento versus el parking. El parking. Right. So in like one of my first one or two Spanish classes way back when, I learned like el estacionamiento means, like parking lot, right? Where you park your car at. And it does, right? But when I was in Puerto Rico, especially, like, I saw el parking, not el estacionamiento. However, I think on like a street sign, it did say like, something to the extent of like, no estacionarse aquí, something like that, right? So I think they used the word, but when it comes to maybe like parking lot, they were just like el parking, or parking, right? Very interesting, very interesting. Especially el parking, I'm like, is this Spanglish? But other countries use it too. I think they use it in Spain, I heard. El parking. It just seems a little strange. Like where y'all get this word from? Like, what was the source of this, right? Okay, so last on my list is el celular versus el móvil. Yeah, móvil. Bill. Meaning cell phone. And I feel like I was initially taught el I can't even say the word. Cellular. I was taught that word as cell phone, right? And in English, I can't even say it, like cellular phone. That's why we knocked it off. We were like, cell phone, bam. So, yeah, I hear both words, but I just hear mobile more. And I tend to use a mobile because it's an easier word for me to pronounce. Keep it real. It's just an easier word for me to pronounce. I can't do that sound. It's just a little. I can do it, but I gotta slow down. You know. Last but not least is the honorable mention, and that is la biblioteca versus la libreria. And this was a little strange for me because I was taught la biblioteca first as to mean library, right? And that is the correct word for library. But I often hear some Spanish speakers using la libreria, which actually means bookstore, but they're using it as a library. And when I've asked them about, oh, what about la biblioteca? Well, they're like, oh, yeah, that too. You know, I never really got into depth or any deeper with it than that. But yeah, I just find that a little bit strange. You know, like why are they calling the library a bookstore? But I guess maybe because it sounds similar to the English version of library, maybe. I don't know, but I just find that a little odd. But yeah, an honorable mention because I was taught the correct way, you know. As you know, I wasn't taught the incorrect way of anything, you know, but I was taught the correct way, right? But it's not how it's used outside of class in some cases, though, you know. Some people are using the incorrect way outside of class, so it's a little strange, you know. The situation is a little strange, but yeah, I really would like to get you guys' opinion on that situation. If anything else, just that. So yeah, I guess that's all I got to say for the time being, you guys. So thanks a lot for watching my video. You know, thanks for the support. Adios and goodbye for now.